find my piece of paper here. The next thing is amending water ordinance 2023-11 with new ordinance 2025-4. This is an ordinance to change some language in there to allow us to use some rental fees to actually purchase material with. I would entertain a motion to introduce.
I'll make a motion to introduce.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? If not, basically what we're doing is revising some sections of the chapter 52, section 52- or .05 of the town ordinances that establishes the rates for fire hydrant rental fees to be collected by the town. And then we're going to be able to use that money instead of just using for rental, to use funding for repair, maintenance, purchase, and replacements of fire hydrants located within the corporate limits of the town. You should have gotten a copy of that by email, or if not, I don't know if it's in our folder or not. We've had a motion to second and introduce. We need a motion then to suspend the rules in order to adopt.
I'll make a motion to suspend and waive the rules.
I have a motion and a second to waive the rules. Do I have a motion to adopt?
We have to put all in favor.
Oh, I'm sorry. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed,
It has to be
sign.
unanimous, that's why I asked.
All opposed, same sign.
All right.
Now we need a motion to adopt. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Any other discussion? If not, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay. That helps us out buying fire hydrants. There are no citizen comments. Monthly department reports, police first. Is Dwayne here? Okay, we'll come back to him. Fire department, Mark?
I don't have anything, the council doesn't have anything to do with this one. I sent my report in, I think it was Friday. A little late there. Questions?
Yeah, what were we at on the fire hydrants? Did we make any move toward, I know we cleared some money to get some 15 fire hydrants taken care of or whatever. Did we get anywhere with that, or where we at?
My knowledge, Trent's taking care of that, so Trent will know where the status of that is. To my knowledge, in our last day meeting, I think it was a couple Mondays ago, Trent, to my knowledge, approved the quote and probably got the order. Yeah.
So did you guys look at that and just determine, where your main priorities needed to be for which ones were the ones that needed the most attention?
Yeah, Trent and I went through that list of the ones that were the worst, and went through those and deemed which ones need to be hydrant replacements, and which ones were potentially water line mains that were the affected ones.
Right.
So he's went through and we've agreed that these certain ones need to be replaced, so they're going to be first on the list.
That's fine. And as far as we're concerned, I imagine just keep us up to date on where you're at as far as what's getting changed and done and dug and all that stuff, because we're really awesome. Cool.
Yeah, I think we're just in the waiting stages for the hydrants to get in, and then we'll see what Trent can fit in the schedule.
Sounds great. Cool.
And Mark, I want to thank you for the pictures from our fun day that you helped sponsor. For anybody who wants to know, we went through some training. It was elected officials type of training. We actually rode in an ambulance doing CPR as they were jerking us around on the road, trying to stay stood up. We went into a burning building. We went through a building like you were going through an escape, and the floor fell out from under you. There was some we cut a car apart in full turnout gear in 85-degree weather. It was fun, but gives you an insight of what you guys go through, and I want to thank you for that.
Thank you for participating. That was the Fire Ops 101 class. Tony Lothridge put that together for Adams County. So all 5 stations in the county all had members there to help participate, and some elected officials that joined from each one. Tina Booth, and Lindbury joined from the Geneva location, so we appreciate you guys coming and spending the day with us and seeing what we do, because some days it's a little more difficult than others to have people understand that. But I think the paper's doing a write-up on it from what I've seen, and got some emails on. Wasn't you, Jessica, it was somebody else. So I'm sure there'll be a paper, an article in the paper on the result of that. But I'd like to continue to do that in the next couple of years, to kind of help educate people and see, let people know what we do.
All right. Thank you.
And thank you, Tom.
Utilities, Trent?
I think we got the MOU back from Greg Golden. We took that down there, and I got that signed from them yesterday.
Good.
I think that should be all ready to go. When I was there, they had asked about some street repairs. So I'm going to look into that and try to get some quotes about William Street and possibly changing their entrance to 5th Street instead of 4th Street. We have to widen that street. I've talked to our engineers and get some quotes on that and see where we can go, what we can do with that, and try to help them out a little bit there. Bun, we want to talk about Bun.
I've got that on the agenda for later.
Okay, we'll do that later. Water line out by Casey's, we've been trying to figure out where that connects on the west side of the highway. Once we figure that out, we're going to try to come up with some way to put a valve in there and get that shut down. Try to figure out for sure what the heck's going on with that. Get that figured out.
So what do you do on the other side? What's going on to try to figure it out?
We got to find where it's connected, where it comes across the road. We're taking our back trailer out there and just digging down and find the line. We're just going to follow the line up until we find the connection. Because right now we have no idea. You look at the maps, and each map shows it a little bit different here and there, but it's all in the general
You're working
same
on
area.
it every day?
We're working on it when we have time. We have everybody here. We have, like right now, we have people on vacations and stuff like that, so we don't necessarily have the time to get out there every day, but whenever we can, we will.
And right now, the water doesn't seem to be gushing like it was for a while.
No, not flowing near as bad.
And Trent and I went over the plans that we had yesterday, and they're not very accurate, to be honest about it.
Right.
I don't know why, but they're not. So we need to look into that too.
Right.
In your opinion, why do you think it's not running the way it was?
Not flowing the way it was.
Yeah.
It is hard to tell. That is such a mystery out there. I have no idea.
Okay.
I have no clue. To be very honest with you, I have no idea.
Yeah. It was just different, right? I mean,
Yes.
if the flow changes,
Yes.
if you would have a leak, you would expect the leak to either get worse
Consistent.
or,
Right.
stay the same at the least, right?
Yes.
Okay. Well, it'll be interesting to figure it out.
Yes, it will. Fire hydrant, back to what you were asking about the fire hydrants. It should be, I'm going to guess we're probably about 2 weeks out yet
Okay.
on getting some of them in here.
Okay.
I know they said they were going to direct ship them from the manufacturer, so they'll be here a little quicker than what we was expecting before.
Cool deal.
Yep.
Any other questions?
Do you know when Brooks is for the streets?
I did not get an answer from Tyler today. I will try to get ahold of him, and I'll email everybody as soon as I find
I
out.
think the last time they
I
said they
know.
told you maybe sometime in July.
KBL has been here, and they've done all the 88 corners. They're all done. So, I mean, typically I would say Brooks is following within a couple weeks, maybe. I don't know for sure, but.
If no other questions, thank you. Under new business, the first thing we have is a request from Whirling Wildlife Rehab to talk about alligators. Before you start, you're putting your input. It's not a public hearing, it's a public meeting, so we're not going to be entertaining comments from the gallery. Okay? Now, your turn.
My name is Kristen Whirling. I'm the founder and director of Whirling Wildlife Rehabilitation. We take in about 1,000 animals every year and rehabilitate those animals and release them back to the wild. I'm here today to bring a matter to your attention to ask about the council's future plans for dealing with these types of situations. So I kind of want to go over what we've been through because of assisting the town of Geneva. On June 9th, I received a call from the Geneva Police Department to take in an alligator that was found wandering the streets. The police gave me the gator, and it is our practice as a wildlife rehabilitation that if there is an animal that we get in that we do not know what to do with, we are not especially practiced in dealing with that type of animal, we find someone who can take it because we want to make sure every animal has the highest quality care and is being cared for by people who are knowledgeable. So before I had even made it home to just north of Decatur, I had made several calls and had the alligator placed at a sanctuary out of the state. So by that evening, the evening I got the gator, it was already signed over and a surrender fee was paid to that sanctuary and transport was coordinated at that time. We work quickly, we deal with potentially dozens of animals a day, so we are working very quickly. Later that night, a man named Cameron Curtis called the police and claimed that the gator was his. And without verifying any sort of ownership, the police told him that I had his alligator and gave him my phone number and my address to my house. Without warning, he showed up at my house and ran into my backyard, screaming at me and my volunteers, calling us thieves, swearing at us, saying words that I cannot repeat here. I called the police and had to have him trespass from the property. In the days that followed, I received multiple phone calls from various police forces wanting to know why I stole this man's alligator. The Geneva marshal told me that it did probably belong to Cameron and that I should probably give it back to him. But by this time, the gator had already been vetted and taken to the sanctuary out of the state. The sanctuary agreed to take in the gator on condition of anonymity because of where it came from. The police actually betrayed my trust on that and told Cameron where it went, even though he still had not proved any sort of ownership. Cameron then called the sanctuary to swear at them too, which the sanctuary found confusing and upsetting since they had taken it on condition of anonymity. The sanctuary was feeling pretty distraught and the police pressure to give the gator back to Cameron was mounting. Cameron did come to an agreement with me through the town marshal that he would pay the rescue to get the gator back from the sanctuary. The sanctuary did not want to work with him directly because of the communication they had had so far. So we were asked to take steps to then retrieve the gator for him. It was never our goal to take an animal from a legal owner. We were simply acting in the best interest of the animal by getting it into the care of those more knowledgeable than us. Alligators are not something we typically work with. We do a lot of possums and raccoons and rabbits. So Cameron insisted that he would recuperate our costs of caring for his alligator, and we agreed to meet. But instead of paying us what he agreed, he threatened me and took it. And then for the next week, he continued to show up at my house to threaten me. He slandered my rescue online, posted threats to my supporters who were just trying to support me. And I ended up having to go and get a protection order against him. And we had to install numerous extra cameras on site because of his frequent visits to my personal house. So what started out as a phone call from your police asking for help turned into a nightmare for me and my family, financially, mentally, and emotionally. My rescue was acting in good faith for the interest of this animal's welfare. After that protection order was granted, I learned that the city of Geneva does not allow dangerous animals like alligators within the city limits. So according to the ordinance, it actually says that like crocodiles and alligators are specifically listed in there as animals that are not allowed within city limits. He does live here within city limits and has 3 alligators. It also says in the ordinance that if an animal is roaming free, that the police have the right to confiscate that animal. And a couple of weeks ago, another alligator was found roaming the streets in Fort Wayne. You may have heard about that case. Animal control came in and captured the alligator and placed it at the sanctuary. They did this because it's illegal in Fort Wayne to own an alligator within city limits. When the alligator was found here in Geneva, the police should have known that it violated city ordinance and that it was illegal to have. They should not have given out my personal information or the information for the sanctuary, especially to an unverified owner. He had not been able to prove that the alligator was his. So my purpose today is really twofold. I would like to request that since my rescue acted as a specialized animal control for your city, that you consider recuperating some of the costs that we have undertaken in this quest to help this animal, the cost that I had asked Cameron to pay. I would also like to hear what your plan is moving forward to ensure that the police are aware of the city ordinances and take action to enforce them. We're also called by your police to assist in the hoarding situation several months ago, where hundreds of animals were recovered from a single-family home just 2 blocks from here. Neither one of these situations are things that we as a wildlife rescue are qualified to take on, but we came and we helped for the sake of the animals. It's our goal just to help in whatever way that we possibly can. So my question is, does the city need a better plan moving forward for clarifying and enforcing these animal ordinances? One potential problem I noticed in the ordinance was the use of the word poisonous to describe snakes. Snakes aren't poisonous, they're venomous. That word change could potentially cause a loophole in the system that someone could say, well, the ordinance says I can't have a poisonous snake, but mine's not poisonous, it's venomous. So clarifying your wording in the ordinance might be something that would be useful moving forward. And just how can the police be made more aware of these ordinances? How should they act moving forward? Should another exotic animal situation arrive? With that hoarding situation, there were over 266 animals in that house. We pulled out 157 alive and 109 dead that first day. When we came back on subsequent days, we managed to find even more. So how will Cameron Curtis and his 3 alligators here in city limits be dealt with now, knowing that he is not abiding by city ordinance? Will the city take responsibility for the turmoil that has occurred due to the lack of understanding by the police and the immense amount of pressure that was put onto this rescue and the sanctuary to care for this gator? I do have copies of some pictures from the animal hoarding situation that happened if you were not aware that that even happened. I know some of the police officers I talked to said they hadn't even known about that situation just a couple months ago. And that was almost 300 animals that we pulled from that house. I do also have a copy of the protection order against Cameron that the judge granted based on the evidence that he was shown. So we have taken on an immense amount of pressure just because we responded to a call for help. You know, it's our goal just to help the animals in whatever way we can, but we don't want to do that if the police are not going to have our back, is what it comes down to. So we would just appreciate the town council clarifying those ordinances and making sure the police know them. That way they can enforce them accurately. I want to finish by saying that I'm grateful for the opportunity to bring these issues to your attention, and I thank you for the opportunity to speak. And lastly, I would like to say that if the alligators are confiscated, I would be happy to help transport them to the sanctuary as they have agreed to take them in despite everything. I have brought several of my business cards, and we have a copy of our costs that we have incurred that we'd like to give out to you in case you need to get in touch with me. Does anyone have any questions for me or for the rescue? Did you want to see any photos that I brought? What?
Nick, do you have any comments?
I have no comments, no.
We are aware of the situation. And as we get deeper into some of these, we just really started with nuisance enforcement. And as we do more, we find out more and more things that are not allowed in town. We need the public's support and cooperation in identifying these areas. Appreciate your coming here tonight. We'll take your information and take it under advisement. If there's any other questions from the council.
How much money are you asking for reimbursement?
We had asked Cameron, we have an invoice. We had asked Cameron for, at the time, $1,100 to place the alligator at the sanctuary. They charge $10 per inch. And the alligator was 41.5 inches, I believe. And then there was also,
You have one for me?
Thanks.
and then we also had driven to the sanctuary in Michigan multiple times to place the alligator there. We had the alligator vetted as well, so there was a vet appointment that happened before it was placed at the sanctuary to make sure that it was healthy to be added into their collection items there. I spent hours on the phone with police from both Geneva and the Decatur Police Department. when he showed up at my house, that disrupted animal care by over 2 hours that night. I had animals that were in more critical condition. I ended up having to stay up all night to monitor condition because the animal care was behind due to him showing up at my house and us having to get a restraining order. So it's been a huge inconvenience for us, all because we responded to your call for help. So, yeah.
Okay. Thank you. And just for the town's information, all our ordinances are on our webpage. There's a codified event that was just recently done, has all the current ordinances. If you have any questions, please go on our website and look at these ordinances. And like I say, we need your cooperation and help to keep things like this happening again. If Dwayne was here, I'd ask him a question, but since he's not, I'm thinking that the notification was served to him.
It was.
And you know what the time frame on that was?
That was June 24th, I believe, and again, the alligators are behind a privacy fence.
Is there any fines you should?
You had, I have to look at the letter, I think you had 10 days to get rid of them before fines would start.
Yeah, and again, because they're
Should
behind a fence that you can't see through without a warrant, we can't go in there and look, so.
He did tell me that he doesn't lock the gate.
Pardon me?
He did tell me that he doesn't lock the gate, so that's how the one got out.
Still, there's trespass considerations we need to be considered of, so.
Yeah, awesome.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sanitary sewer project pay application from Bunn GFL Construction. The original quote was for $42,463.42, and that was for the period of, I believe, May 1st through May 31st of this year. Today, Trent, myself, Ryan LaFeld from Choice One Engineering, and 3 representatives from Bunn went through a punch list that had been generated a couple of weeks ago, walked through each one of the items, and we were able to identify 3 other problems that were either missed or overlooked in the first punch list inspection. One of the things was a fence that a gentleman has that he got a quote to have it fixed for $1,800. We agreed verbally that they would take an $1,800 reduction on that $42,000 and some change, making the total payment of $40,663.42. I would ask approval from council to pay this claim.
Well, if we pay it, does that close the whole thing then?
No, it's still, we're still open. We haven't done the final yet.
This is just for work starting May 1st through May 31st. So it's a routine document where after the work's completed, they request this periodically, often every month, but not always.
I'll make that motion.
I have a motion, to have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, so the amount that we're going to pay to the applicant is $40,663.42. There's no further discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Part of this whole thing too now, because of the problems we've been having with this construction company trying to get our agreed order rectified, the Schwartz edition has been an ongoing upgrade. They thought they were going to be able to line that, and then they found out they can't line it, and on and on and on. Pretty much, we're going to let them walk away from it. We've gotten permission from, let me find my note here, Indiana Finance Authority, which is the one that has granted us the money to pay for this project, that with a couple of stipulations, and the lawyer will be involved in some specification Trent's going to work with Ryan on, that we can go out for motion or go out and get quotes from at least 3 contractors to do that addition so it'll be done correctly. And when Bunn gets done with their other little things, we'll have one final agreed order on that, and they will be gone. And I hope I don't ever see them again.
Where we at on the performance bond?
if they do what they're supposed to do, we'll still have money left out of this grant. I don't know what the issue on its performance.
I don't know the latest from Ryan. That's a topic of discussion that I've been deferring to Ryan on. They're the ones that hold the performance bond. Well, they don't hold it, but he's the one that signs off on everything as to whether it's up to spec. He's been kind of coaching us along the way as to what's been done and what still needs to be done. So as to the extent of the performance bond that we're going to hold their feet to the fire with, that is yet to be said unless you've had discussions with Ryan that I'm not aware of.
I'm going to ask for a motion for approval to get this thing done in a timely manner after.
Question before you do that. In a situation with the Gerbers down there in their fence, is that going to be taken care of?
It will be taken care of.
Okay,
One way or another, it will be taken care of.
thank you.
Either their contractor will come in and fix it, or Mr. Gerber will use the person he got the quote from, and the money that was, that
I told him I would.
$1,800 would then be paid
I understand.
directly to the contractor or to Mr. Gerber, whichever goes. So that's going to be taken care
At
of.
least we're doing what they say.
Yeah. And that, one of the things too, Andrew, was the flower beds.
Yes,
That should be taken care of also.
sounds good, thank you.
And kind of trying to expedite this thing and get fun out of our proverbial hair as soon as we possibly can. I would like to have a motion and approval from the council to allow me to sign off the final invoice when submitted with the approval of Choice One and the town attorney.
I'll make that motion.
Do I have a second for that? Otherwise, we'd have to wait until possibly another one or two more council meetings.
Second.
This just expedites things. Any other questions? If not, I'll call for the question. All in favor of giving you that authority, please say aye.
Do we have a second? I don't think it is. Do we have a second?
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't hear it.
Good.
And opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you. Elevated quote for a new controller. Mechanically, we've got the elevator fixed. In the process, they found a controller that is bad and needs to be replaced at the cost of $3,240. And they're requesting 100% down payment prior to material orders, but I think we can work with them on that. It's going to be needed. What's going on in there, when I was talking to the mechanics the last time they were here, that controller, they can jump over it and make the elevator work, but if they remove their jumper cord, it still shows a code that's not supposed to be there. So they got an electronics guy. There's only one of them in the state that'll come around. Do we want to approve this?
An elevator that doesn't go up and down is pretty worthless.
Not an elevator.
So far,
shaft.
so far, I think we're under what our original estimate was to repair it. So we're not really. I don't think it's going to cost us any additional money than we'd already approved.
Do we have any of those numbers available?
We initially paid half of the motor, which was, I think, $7,600. They didn't have to replace the motor, they had to replace the soft starter. They then sent us another agreement for another $7,500, which I questioned, why would we need to pay that when we didn't have a motor installed? So they told us not to pay for that at that time. And now they're asking for this, and the email did indicate, even though this says 100% due, they would waive that because I have asked them to review so we have an accurate dollar amount that we're actually going to have to pay them, because they keep sending these agreements for these dollar amounts, and it just doesn't seem right to me. So right now we're at about $7,600 that we've paid out, because soft starter we haven't paid on, this we haven't paid on, because we paid half for a motor that we didn't get or need.
Was the first quote, I don't have that in front of me, to actually finish the repair or just to do certain things? I thought it was to actually repair.
I thought it was to replace the motor.
Okay.
And
And
the
the motor and the hydraulic fittings, and it was something like $15,000, I think was the number that sticks in my mind. So,
Is there any warranty period at all on this work, on their end of it?
check with Lynn, I'm not familiar with the warranty on it unless it's actually in the repair agreement. There may be one.
right off the top of my head, I'm not sure either. We'll make sure.
What kind of payment terms were verbally stated by this representative?
I have it all via email,
Okay.
so I do have it in writing. Because I questioned, why are you continuing to ask us to pay for things when we paid
Right.
for part of a motor that we didn't need? And he's told me he's working with his manager, whomever it was, then they're going to review actually what has been replaced so they can give us an accurate invoice as to what we owe.
I do think we need to request from them that they revise this accordingly first before we sign it.
I was going to.
There's a provision right at the end that says this encompasses all prior discussions. Going to make sure we avoid a situation where they come back on their word in that way.
So should we table this until next?
Well, we can approve it if those terms are amended in this agreement first. But short of that, I don't think we should sign it today.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then I'm going to suggest we table it until next month, getting further information. I know it's going to keep the elevator out for another month, but I'd rather have everything right.
Again, you can approve it tonight pending those changes to the agreement.
Okay.
Either way.
Do I have a motion to agree tonight pending the changes?
Yeah, I'll make a motion. That's one.
I'll second it.
Motion is second. Any other discussion? Okay, Tina, if you can get those revised numbers for us. Next item on the thing is a gentleman named Roman Troyer, small claims court discussion and council approval if we're going to proceed.
Motion is
I
second.
don't believe we called for a vote.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought we did.
No.
Okay.
We had two motions.
Oh, do I have a motion to, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign? All right, now we're back. Discussion and council approval to proceed to small claims court on a local contractor that we've had trouble collecting. A number of certified letters have been sent to him with no response. We need to get it's about $1,500 is what the claim would be for. So we need to,
It's $1,575 for a sewer tap, water tap, curb box, and labor that he did on a home on Old Hickory Drive. Said he'd pay it, didn't pay it. I've invoiced him now 3 times. I've had him on the phone once. He assured me he was going to pay it, gave me a different address to send it to. Still hasn't paid it. And he actually has several suits against him from other people for not paying things. And I actually found his attorney's information on my case. So I reached out to his attorney for current contact information, and he's asked that I send the bill to him and he will help get it paid. But I haven't heard anything.
A few things on that. First off, small claims court. So for municipal governments, that does need to be pursued by the town attorney. Unlike for private corporations or private LLCs, they are able to have employees go after those small claims. So it will need to be done by the town attorney, which carries my hourly fee in the salary ordinance.
right.
So there's a question if it'll be worth the cost of pursuing this weighing against what is sought after, which is around $1,500, and whether or not if we do get a judgment, if it's even able to be collected upon. If he already has pending cases against him, it'll be put in whatever order that judgment is entered. Collecting on that judgment sounds like it will be an uphill battle if possible at all.
So
So
you're probably recommending then, if I'm hearing you right, that we wait until we get some answer back from his attorney that Tina's already reached out to?
I would. This does sound, and you might need to, Tina might need to check with the Trex administrator to see, because I know it's under an LLC.
Yeah.
From what I was able to find, it's a single member LLC. So you may want to check with her to see if that's an option for LLCs, if it's a pass-through entity tax-wise, if it's still able to be collected upon. That's a thought. I know Trex doesn't solve everything, but it's, in many cases, it's the only option, really. That's the first avenue I would take before we look at this further.
Okay.
So looking in the forward future, should we get a deposit to put a tap in?
Be a good idea. This was water and sewer. I would need to check into what's available sewer-wise. I know that's heavily regulated in Indiana code. Water, not so much. So a deposit would be a good idea. I know Tina at one point had mentioned maybe paying all up front. I don't know if that's doable given contractor payment obligations and all that. But it's worth looking into.
In the future, can we put a lien against the property with the property owner?
You can only do that for sewer, not water.
But it's something.
But even then, yeah, it's getting to that point where you do have that lien presents that issue.
Okay, we've got a course of action on that, so I don't think there's any other discussion we need to have on that for now. Time clocks. We have had considerable, that's where I want to word I want to use. Okay, discussion about the pros and the cons of a time clock. I would ask for council approval to purchase a time clock.
I'll make a motion that we purchase a time clock.
I'll second that motion.
No?
I don't think we've done much research on the cost yet. I would leave it up to the clerk treasurer.
Less expensive ones, between $100 and $150.
Total. Put a
Fits our
number,
needs best.
put a number of not to exceed number on there.
Not to exceed 250.
Not to exceed $250. Amend that motion.
All right, I amend my motion to purchase a time clock not to exceed $250.
We have an amended motion. Do we have a second?
Second?
Any other discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Thank you. Hub engineering report. I talked to Mark Wynn yesterday. He has still not heard anything from the engineer. I'm at my wit's end on that one.
I know.
I don't know which way to go on it. I don't want the building. We're not getting any cooperation from property owners. Keep trying. Keep hoping Mark gets some answer, and so we got something we can talk about.
Was Mark asked if there's another engineer available at all?
No, he's not asked that question yet.
Question two.
Okay.
We both-
Either one.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
My question is, when's the last time, from the attorney standpoint, did we send something out to this owner? Has it been a year ago?
Most likely, yeah.
Would it be appropriate to send I don't know if there's a stronger letter than what we already sent, because I don't know if we saw the letter to begin with, but
We could. The problem is, what do we demand or what do we state in there without an engineer's report stating what can be done?
what about the safety issue? You have liability because you own the building, bricks are falling off, it is an individual, there's obviously the potential for a lawsuit. I don't know. I'm
Yeah,
not
a letter can
an
be
attorney.
sent, certainly. There's nothing preventing that.
I didn't know if that would be helpful.
It's just a question of how,
It shows we kept trying.
Sure. Sure.
I don't know.
Have they given any indication that they actually own the building? Has there been eyes on, do these people acknowledge that they own a building?
we've never received any responses from them.
So they might not even know that they actually even own it.
Well, tax bills are being paid, I believe, right?
Yes.
Oh,
yeah.
they are?
Owned by I Properties LLC,
So-
Fort Wayne.
If that's the case, so if you would go ahead and send them something that just says, you know, that, hey, we don't feel like your building is safe, do you feel like the engineering report is what's necessary to get them to move?
That's not what is necessary to get them to do any kind of remedial action, because at this point, I think it's pretty well known that they're not going to do anything on their own. That is what is needed to take the next step for the unsafe building ordinance, as far as getting an order in place and pursuing that.
So we're talking $12,000-ish to go ahead and get an engineering report done on this.
I think we approved 8,000.
8,000?
Yeah.
8,500.
500.
Not to exceed.
So, that's right, we did put a not to exceed in there. So can we find another engineering firm to do this job for us?
In my opinion, I think that's the next question for Mark.
Okay.
Is Mark the only one that would pursue that for us?
We can consult our own engineer if one is known.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mark's not tied in with his engineer. Mark is the one that will sign that final order to kick off the procedure for the unsafe building ordinance.
I know.
This just happened to be somebody that he knew.
I know a local contractor did go through with Mark 2 years ago, 3 years ago, and gave recommendations, but I don't think that was what Mark wanted at the time. I don't know. I know a contractor would give us a quote. Again,
Is contractor and engineer different entities? Same thing?
My understanding is they're completely different. It could take someone with engineering credentials, and maybe more than just that. I believe, remind me, I think, because you're the one that had met with this engineer, he had some kind of certification in historic buildings or
Right.
remediation of
Yeah.
older buildings past a
Right.
certain
Yeah.
age.
and
It takes a certain
that
time.
was Mark's selection.
Right,
That we went
right.
with.
They go back taxes on this right now, are they current?
No.
The May taxes was double what normal was, so it looks like they're one payment behind on, as of May 12th. They might have paid their taxes, but on the county website it's showing a double amount due in May and a reduced amount, half of it in November, so I would say last November's was not paid. And that doesn't say if May's was paid this year.
Right. And that is another thing. Once the unsafe building ordinance process begins, we'll do another title search to see if there's any liens or any back taxes. Anything like that needs to be taken care of at the same time.
We need a motion to have you pursue that, or?
As to writing a letter,
Yeah.
not necessarily a motion. If you want me to, if that is something you guys, just by consensus, want me to pursue, I can do that. Yeah.
We think?
Move forward on it.
Sure.
I do too.
Okay.
I think so
Yeah.
too. Don't let it-
Okay. Thank you. Neptune Technologies. We had a presentation last month from them about putting some new hardware in to help us with our water meter reading. It would involve a tower, or antenna up on our water tower. The cost of that quote that we had at that time was $25,000. That's a one-time cost. And they said there would be about an $8,000 to $10,000 installation fee on the water tower and to launch the system. And I believe that included training. And then there would be approximately a $5,000 annual maintenance fee for a total of about $40,000 to get the system running and maintained for the first year. Then after that, we would just have the annual maintenance fee. Some savings that we could see from this. Right now, each time we do a reread on a meter, because of some anomaly, we're talking 3 to 5 hours of labor, the time that the reread is issued. And the fellows that go out and do it, they have to stop the job they're doing, go out and do the read, bring the information back to the town, and then go back and pick up where their job is again. So we're looking at saving that kind of labor. Another big advantage is excessive water usage can be identified in a very timely manner, saving both the customers and the town a lot of money. And it can also help identify some possible leaks in our system. One of the references that the gentleman who gave the presentation gave was Bourbon, Indiana. I called Deputy Clerk. I talked to Deputy Clerk Marcy Helton, and they are extremely satisfied with the system. He says any issue is quickly resolved if there is a software issue or anything. As far as the reading goes, it saved them countless hours and money. It saved them countless gallons of water. I'm recommending that we purchase this system. We can get the money out of our utilities. It's there. I would like to have council approve that we go ahead and purchase
Is this,
it.
if we do approve it, Is it easy to work with, or is there somebody who would have to take training to learn how to work the system?
I'm told the training is pretty simple.
I have a couple questions. You had mentioned about the labor time to get rereads. Last month, we talked about, I think they told us it takes an hour and a half to get our radio reads. So just the question is, why would it take 3 to 5 hours to do a reread on one home?
Like I stated, if Trent's out there doing something and he's called to go do a reread, he has to stop the job he's doing and go get his equipment to go do the read. That takes about a half an hour just to get that. Then he's got to go out and do the read, get that information, bring it back to the office, make sure that's everything Sally needs, and then go back and pick up the job that he was doing. And that takes, anybody that's ever done any labor out like that, it takes a half an hour to 45 minutes to get back to where you were. So you've lost that time. And then the time that it takes for Sally to do her paperwork and everything, I figured out to about anywhere from 3 to 5 hours for each reread.
Again, it's just a question, because it is a lot of money. Would it make any sense to consider, since we were told it takes an hour and a half to do the reads, could we do a read mid-month? At least then we're catching a leak within 2 weeks. I mean, the leak, obviously, it's the customers are having the cost, not so much the town unless they don't pay their costs. So would that be, I mean, cost savings, it seems like that'd be a lot more cost effective than the 40,000. But it's a question, it's only a question.
Sally?
Yeah, don't you remember, we talked about when Scott was here, I'm not sure if it automatically does it or if I push a button and it does it. It alerts me to consumptions that are above average, okay? If I can data log a customer because they moved out on such and such a date, it'll give me enough information from the last time we read, I think it's 90 days, I think is what, something like that I can pinpoint that bill a lot better than what I can now. So either I don't understand your question, or
Pinpoint the bill to what help? I mean, what does that do for us? If you can pinpoint the bill at a certain time, what does that do?
well, if they want to wait and let me figure it, we might get their money right away. As opposed to they move out of town, I don't care.
Well, and I think that one of the other things we need to look at is that if there was a water leak in a crawl space or whatever, even in a couple of days, they could rack up big bill. Well, and then if you take a look at it from the people of the town of Geneva, because they don't want to see a $2,000 water bill. But if we would be able to flag excessive usage even within a day, where we can run the guys out just to knock on the door and say, hey, we may have a potential problem, then I'm kind of wondering whether or not this is a much bigger advantage to the people of Geneva, just being able to stop this leakage right away instead of just letting it run as we have a couple, because we all know that we've got several people here in town with exorbitant water bills that over a period of time that they've bumped behind on or whatever. So,
Is that because of leaks?
Yeah.
They
Yeah,
don't know where their leak is?
They fixed their leak, but they didn't know they had a leak.
until
the next water bill came.
So the bill
So
came,
in
right?
1 month?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's more than likely unless I can get a hold of them when we do the readings and I can tell who's high. and
Well,
who's
how
not.
high are some of those? I mean, I just need to figure, how high do they?
Last month, one was 30,000 in 4 days.
Gallons?
Gallons.
30,000 gallons.
And
Um,
what would have been the
I think
cost
on
of that?
Railroad Street, we had a couple, I don't think we were 80, 90,000.
$200 or $300 or
Probably a couple $1,000.
a couple $1,000?
Yeah.
Okay,
Between 1,500 and 2.
So, and I'm looking at this saying, okay, so we're looking at some cost here, but by the time we go through the budget, the advantage to the people of Geneva ought to be worth $1 a month.
Where's the dollar a month? I'm sorry.
So if we go down through and we start doing the utility budgets, and if we give everybody $1 a month to offset our cost, because the advantage is to them,
Right.
not necessarily to the town of Geneva itself.
I'm sorry, I'm still missing where the dollar month comes in.
Like a surcharge or an
So
addition
You
with,
charge it?
yeah,
Okay.
the bottom
I thought
line
you said
is
we
that
were
the
giving them $1 a month.
the advantage to the people of Geneva not to let their water bills just run away if they'd have a leak ought to be worth $1 a month. It is to me. And so if I can offset some of this cost a little bit, then all of a sudden it's a win-win for everybody. Kind of the way that I look at it.
So in about 6 years or so, we'd have that recouped?
Well, we don't have to recoup it all. I think that we're going to eat part of it. It's just that to offset it just to a certain degree was help out a little bit. Because, if I could go $1 a month for an insurance project on my water
I like
lines,
the
it's
idea.
like,
No, I like the idea.
I don't know. And we haven't even talked about that.
No.
I mean,
I
but the
like
bottom
that.
line is that if we can offset this, making sure that everybody don't end up like some of them in town with a couple $1,000 water bill that they're behind on just because they had a leak they didn't know.
Right.
Anyway, just something to consider anyway, I guess.
And I also want to remind you, I think this is either, 2005 is either second or the third year of what was done 2-3 years ago, a 5-year increase. So I just want you to be aware that I think that's an excellent idea. But, yeah.
Amending the water ordinance does have its own procedure. Needs to be published, have to have public hearing, whole 9 yards when it comes to something like that. So yeah, I think we are in either the third or fourth year of that rate schedule. And I believe Baker Tilly assisted in preparing that rate schedule. So whether they may be someone that could be consulted.
We're in our
Pardon?
second year.
We're in our second year only, okay. So they can do all those analyses to make sure whatever the rate is makes sense for our situation.
Increases, it didn't include this.
Yeah, right.
And I don't know if there's anything that we can bill for, like a surcharge or something, just for that. I don't know if the state would allow that.
I doubt it.
Well, if that's the case, then let's not do it.
What's that?
That's easy. I mean, if that's indeed the case, then let's just scrap it. We don't need to do it.
But to
The
purchase this?
Neptune thing, yeah. I mean, I'm seeing if we're kind of locked down as far as whether or not how we can charge for it, or if we're in the rate scheduled,
It's something that can be explored.
Well, and then either that or we don't need
The
to
rates-
get into it either,
The
so.
rate study included, obviously not this yet because we didn't know about this at the time, but part of that rate study was making sure our utility wages would be able to continue to be good, because we were behind the 8 ball there with enough utility money coming in to get those wage increases. We had extra put in there for utility vehicles. So those are some of the things that were looked at when we did the utility rate increase. There's several others, but those were a couple of bigger items because we had 100,000 figured in for utility vehicles over the next couple of years. I think it was a 4 or 5 year increase. Have to look at that.
It's a 5-year increase. I just
So this is our
don't
second
know
year.
Year.
Yeah, of the increase. So we have a couple more years, but we got to remember, spending this 40 kind of takes away from some of the other dollars that were factored into the rate increase. I'm not saying we can't do it, but I'm just remembering what the rate increase was kind of based on.
Well, that's fine. I mean, we don't need to do this. This is easy.
I thought it was a good idea.
Yeah.
So back to my original request for a recommendation, a motion to approve. Do I have one? Second call. Third and final call. There being no motion or to approve at this time, motion dies.
Now, just since that died, what if we want to talk about this again after we get a little bit more information?
It
Is
can be
that,
brought up again.
you can?
Yes. Dwayne, while you're out there, just to catch back up, your police report.
Maybe I'll get 5 minutes here to see. You should have received all the documentation. Not much abnormal or outstanding for the month. Lauren will be starting here in another week or so. Mike goes to the academy July 21st. We did receive an application from Todd Miller. Todd's had a long time, been a police officer for a long period of time. Looking for something to fill in his empty schedule for just some part-time. He's already academy certified. He's current with everything. That would help us out if we could put him on, other than just getting familiar with the streets here in town. That would give us the ability to put a part-time person in to help us out while Mike's at the academy. Again, I know John said he was going to help out part-time, but we've not heard from him since the day he left. He has not returned any phone calls or anything else. No contact whatsoever with him. Other than that, I know last month I had a quote for some ballistic shields that we can use in any kind of like a violent encounter or any kind of active shooter. I did a little bit more search and I found a second for an additional company that's very law enforcement friendly, to the tune of about $650 cheaper than the original quote. But to put a shield in each car, which would allow us protection from like rifle type of, as in the news as they call them, assault rifles. Our vest won't stop that. Our vest will stop our handgun. If somebody pulls out a rifle, it's going to go right through our vest and right through us. These shields are rated for rifles up to 3,100 foot per second. But this company, with a law enforcement discount, I can put a ballistic shield in each car for a grand total of $24,8271. That's over my $1,000, so that's why I came to council to ask if we could make that purchase. We've got the money in our budget sitting there, so that would allow us to have some type of protection. Right now, if something happens in this area, we've either got to wait on Decatur to come down if they have a shield available. The sheriff's department has two, but they sit in the office at the jail, so somebody has to drive to the jail, pick it up, and then drive down here. So if you look at the Uvalde school shootings, that was one of their big hurdles there, is they didn't have any devices like this that were rifle rated that they could utilize. So I would put, like I said, one in each car in the south end of the county so our officers would be protected.
You said you had the money?
I'm sorry?
You said you had the money?
Yeah.
It's in your equipment fund, right?
Yeah, in our equipment fund.
Okay. Do I have a motion to approve Dwayne's request to purchase these shields? Second?
I'll second.
Any other discussion? Okay. Go ahead and get your.
Call for the
question. Call for the question. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Get your shields. One other item that we have with the police is we need, at the last meeting, we did not approve the starting salary for Lawrence Swanson. It's been recommended to start him at 4 years' experience, which would be $63,924. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second? Motion and a second. Any other discussion? If not, all in favor of approving this amount, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, thank you. Any other things, Dwayne?
You guys okay with Todd coming to work for us for a while?
Where's he at now?
He was working for Reed Hospital.
Okay, Reed?
Yeah.
Okay.
So they've got a rotating schedule, and he's looking to move it over to Ball State University. They didn't have a rotating schedule, and he's looking for something to fill in on his days off. And he lives in Jay County.
So not too far away.
Yeah.
You've worked with them before?
I'm sorry,
You've worked with them before?
I've known
Yeah.
Todd since the early 90s.
That's cool. I mean,
Glad you found somebody.
Yeah.
Motion to approve?
more the better.
Second.
Motion by Stan and seconded by Andrew. Any other discussion? If not, all in favor, say aye.
Right.
And it'll be the standard fee for what we pay part-time officers.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. I went over everything with him. He thought that sounded great. He likes the small town environment.
And he knows it's no benefits, it's just the wage.
Yep, absolutely.
All right,
Okay,
Thanks.
thanks.
one last item, the mold test results. Tina?
We had to get the mold test results before any company would be willing to come in and tell us how to fix the mold problem. So the mold results I gave everybody copies of. I'm not sure exactly what it means other than the fact that we have mold in the building, which we knew, but this testing had to be done. So if we're wanting to figure out how to fix it, then I'm going to probably need to get approval to get quotes.
You want to
I'll
set,
make that motion if she gets approval.
we'll need to set specifications and everything for that too.
Yeah.
Have a motion to approve, to get quotes, second?
Second.
Any other questions? Not, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Budget appropriations? Clerk treasurer?
You all should have a copy of the first draft of the budget. Take a look at it. If you haven't looked at it already. We're probably going to have some additional appropriations. I apologize, I don't have those ready for today. I will hope to have them ready for August for the year. I did do a 3% increase for employees for their wage. I would like to have gone higher, but with the proposed tax cuts, probably should just be safe than sorry. It's gone up a little bit from last year in your general. I've made some adjustments. There's probably some room to play around a little bit. Again, Bill's helping me with the budget since this is my first year doing it, so definitely open to your thoughts, and we need to look at it and revisit it again. I just know we have to have everything done, I believe, by October. So,
I saw in your notes that you had put in a number for a town manager.
yeah.
Uh,
Number I put in was for $70,000 for a town manager. My thought process was maybe some additional assistance with hydrants, or not sure what the need is other than some discussions have been tossed around. So 70,000, it doesn't come out of general, it's going to come out of motor vehicle, MVH, water, wastewater.
I think with the scope of some of the projects we got coming up, that we need to seriously consider hiring a town manager to help get a lot of this stuff done. That's just my thoughts on it.
I think it's something we've discussed for a lot of years,
Yeah.
is making it more of a full-time position. And like I said, we do have a lot of things coming up. I think
Do we need to
it's
do
worthwhile
anything tonight? Just,
I'm sorry.
do we need to do anything tonight, or they just,
on the budget.
I would say, no, you just need to look at
I
it,
think
and if
so.
you see some things that you have questions on, please reach out to me. I appreciate your patience in advance as I'm working through this too for the first time. So this is just the 2026 budget discussion. It's not a matter of like cutting a budget or anything. This is, we're creating the budget for 2026. But I can get it on the agenda again for August. That way it'll give you plenty of time to look at it, ask questions, get with me, and then we can go from there. But I wanted to at least get it out and get it to everybody since it does take some time.
It looks like you put a couple places in for the possibility of remediation of the building.
Yes, I did.
Sources.
I did that. about the mold issue, possible generator for the town hall. We discussed that a meeting or two ago about it being replaced. I don't have any costs or anything on that. And then I know that for 2025, it was in the budget for the fire department's bathrooms to be replaced. And since we were able to find the money for the initial 15 hydrants, the fire department could still have their bathrooms replaced. However, we need to make that happen for them. But it's already in the budget now. If we don't do it this year, then we would need to have it in the budget for next year.
So we'll take it out for next year if we get it done this year.
Correct.
Is that something, I mean, the firemen are volunteers, they're not
Right.
our town employees. Is that something we would get quotes to get done, or is that something we can do
In-house.
ourselves? I don't know.
Look into it.
For the improvements,
Yeah.
I suppose it depends on the cost.
Depends on
Yeah,
us.
or the expected cost.
The budget's 30,000.
Yeah. Need to consult the chart.
How did we, if I can ask, how was it done? Because I don't know, when you did the upstairs, those rooms in the bathroom and stuff upstairs and what, hanging on?
The members of the fire department did all the work themselves to save the town the expense. So we spent several times and days a week to do that ourselves.
Do you know if you have any resources of people that would be interested in putting some time in?
So in regards to this the bathroom, when it comes to plumbing, plumbing is the one thing that the state of Indiana, you have to get a certified licensed plumber to do any of this work. So some of the water lines could be done by personnel, but the drain pipes have to be properly put in with the right traps and fall and all those kind of things. We can start getting down the path of how it can be redesigned and help offset some of that cost, and potentially some of the demolition and some other things to help save the town some money. We can look into those things. And what we've always done is try to help the town and save some money, so we can look into that as well. Come back with a proposal to the council.
Why don't you do that and come up with a proposal for us, some estimated costs and stuff?
Will do, thank you.
Part of the reason we want to get it fixed is if we have an emergency like a tornado that storms, if this is the safe place, I can't remember the exact word for it, the town hall is, so is the fire department. So those bathrooms are going to have to be ADA compliant, correct?
Yes.
Okay, good deal. What else you got there, Tina?
Garbage bid advertisement, I emailed the town council. Nick actually found the last advertisement for garbage bids. I tweaked it a little bit with just some numbers. I also added something in there about, I know we do our heavy trash day. I'm seeing if maybe there's anybody that could not just maybe do a heavy trash day, but maybe if it's something that if the citizens could put out, say for example, the first Wednesday of the month, whatever items that would fit the company's criteria, if they could include that. If they can't, then include some quotes for like the large dumpsters for heavy trash day. Just as long as this looks good for everybody, I will get it in the paper and then have it so bids will be opened at the August meeting.
Do these companies find out the information? I mean, we're going to advertise.
We're going to advertise
I just don't want to miss somebody. That's my concern.
I am going to advertise. Our current company is Republic. They know that the contract is coming to expire, so they're going to want to bid. I had another place called Cardinal something come in a few months ago, gave me their card and said, when you do this, advertise,
There's one
please
down
let
by
us
Winchester
know.
too. It's big and they're interested, but I just wonder, will they know? That's my problem.
It's going to be, it will be advertised. I can put it on also the town's website. I can put it on the town's Facebook page. It'll be in the Burn Witness.
You could contact that company.
I'll give them a call.
My understanding is a lot of these contractors or companies like trash companies, they subscribe to a service that scrapes the web and scrapes newspapers and gives them the relevant advertisement for bid, so they're aware of things throughout the state. Yeah, that's my understanding at least. Yeah.
You happy with what Tina's got written there?
I am, yeah.
I have a motion for getting out the Advertisements?
I'll make that motion.
Agnes, Arlen,
Either one.
second.
Second.
Any other discussion? If not, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Medical building power for the fall festival.
Geneva Brown is requesting permission to use the outdoor plugs at the medical building for the fall festival on Saturday, September 27th. High Street right here between the alley and line is going to be the kids' area with bounce houses and games and such, and they just were wondering if they would be allowed to use
I'll make
those
a motion we
outdoor
approve of
plugs.
it.
Have a motion to approve, have a second.
Second.
Any other discussion? If not, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
You'll let Laura know.
I will.
Okay. Approval of the June 2025 bank recon.
I'll make a motion to approve the bank rec.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? If not, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Tina was true to her word. She found out what she needed to find from last month to this month, took care of it. And that was awesome.
Approval of the June 2025 accounts payable vouchers.
So moved.
Andrew, Arlen.
Yep.
Any other discussion? If not, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Any town attorney comments or updates?
Everything I did have has been covered, so no.
Feel better, right?
Pardon?
Are you feeling 100% now?
I am, yeah.
I heard.
Did you get some bad shrimp when you went to South Carolina? Any council member comments or updates?
If I can, I'm going to have, if Tina would run these copies. I went to the county council public meeting today, public hearing, whatever they call it. And Baker Tilly came out about the SB1 again. He printed wonderful spreadsheets about what things look like. The county council has not made a decision yet as to which direction they'll go with maybe changing some rates, but they're discussing that. They're going to have Baker Tilly run several different reports to see if they change this little bit of a rate here to make up some of the difference of the loss and over gradual until 2018. Can they level out that difference for the taxpayers, but then also for municipalities, schools, libraries, etc. So I grabbed one of these, so Tina will make copies so you all have one. So,
Can we make a PDF file and just
I
email
have
it to
no
us?
idea. Absolutely.
That'll save a bunch of paper and everything.
Okay, and a lot of ink too.
Yeah. Any other comments or updates? If not, the next scheduled meeting is Tuesday, August 12th, 2025 at 6:30 here in the town council meeting room. There being no further business to come before the board, we are adjourned.